Hello and welcome to Politics here on France 24. Happy New Year to all of you. A new year and hopefully a new page for President François Hollande. His first 6 months in office have been rough, to put it mildly, with unemployment relentlessly on the rise, his popularity at a record low, some mishaps within the government, and to finish the year, a humiliating rebuke by France's Constitutional Council when it slapped down his symbolic decision to slap a 75% tax rate on the so-called super-rich. So the socialist president is currently struggling, not only because the economic situation is bad, but also because some, and not only in the opposition, are wondering whether François Hollande and his team really have what it takes to rule the country. To discuss whether François Hollande is up to the task, two MPs are here. Richard Young, who is a senator with the Socialist Party. Hello and welcome, and Happy New Year. And Jacques Millard, who is with the opposition conservative, the UMP. Welcome to you too.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you. So just before the end of the year, François Hollande got a nasty Christmas present. The Constitutional Council struck down the 75% rate on individuals earning over 1 million euros per year, which Hollande had promised during the campaign to underscore his pledge to bring more justice and equality. The council claimed that the income tax should be calculated per household and not individually, and as such, the measure was unconstitutional. The president said he would find a new way to tax the super-rich, and this week, the first cabinet meeting took place on Thursday. There's also a government seminar. The prime minister is calling for general mobilization. The government really wants to show that it's back to work. Jacques Millard, what do you make of this end-of-year drama that we saw here in France?
You said drama. Well, I don't know if it's a genuine drama because unfortunately in the world there are things which are even worse than that. The fact is that, first of all, it's a blow for the government. There is no doubt about it. It's a blow against Hollande optimism and also some kind of unreality in his policy, because when he came, he's been elected and said there is no crisis, this is a fault of Sarkozy himself. And never forget that it's not only one thing which has been nullified by the Constitutional Council. 12 items, I repeat, 12 articles of the financial law has been, crushed down. So this is a genuine blow, and it shows, in fact, that this government has been acting in kind of, let's say, hurry up, and in a kind of amateurism. And I think this is something that he has to learn from it. And you cannot repeat the same mistakes if you go on this way.
Richard Young, do you agree with the assessment that the government is not professional enough, that it's not solid enough, and this is why it gets those decisions?
No, of course I don't. You would be surprised.
Why not?
You would be surprised.
I would be surprised, indeed.
Because I am part of the majority, that's one thing, but also because you must give a little time for the government to put its policy into shape. It is true that this decision of the Conseil constitutionnel is not very agreeable, especially on this measure of the 75%, which was a kind of specific measure on which Hollande did campaign.
It was a potent symbol.
Yes, it was a symbol. It was, in fact, he took many people by surprise with this proposal, and
I'm glad to hear that.
yes, well,
Including within the Socialist Party.
yes.
Yeah, that come from his hat this way.
I don't know if it came from his hat, but it surprised us. But in fact, it was quite successul. It was quite popular.
It helped him win the election, you think?
Probably, yes. Now, you speak of drama and so on and so on. The whole thing boils down to 500 million euro receipts less on the budget. And let me remind you that the total deficit is 62 billion. So one has to have these orders of magnitude in mind. The other measures which have been nullified by the Council, by the Constitutional Council, are on dividends, what you have to pay on dividends, what is attached to shares, and so on and so on. And there is one very positive measure, and that is to put taxes on succession and on property in Corsica, because our friends have to know that up to now, Corsica has been exempt of special taxes on property. So I think the whole, of course, the government will come with a new proposal on these.
Will it?
Yes. I think the main the main lesson that you can take from the council is that altogether they disapprove of any percentage of tax which is superior to something like 60 to 65%. If you take all these different measures, it all goes in the same direction.
But, I would
so
say
we have to see. Probably the government will come up with a new proposal in next year's budget, around 60%, but on a larger basis.
The question of 75% item which has been nullified is a question of equality, against vis-à-vis fiscal law. And I think this is why I said this was amateurism, because this kind of mistake should not have been done. You cannot, because, the income tax in France is based on the family. That means if you're married, if you are living together with a civil union, you have to be taxed on the whole revenue of the family.
The household,
and
right.
the households. And in this proceeds, they wanted to tax everyone, which is a breach of equality, because the other's income tax is based on the family. That's the first, something that should not have been done. Secondly, and I disagree with my friend Young, because very clearly, for the first time, the Council said that you should not go beyond a certain stage of taxation, otherwise it becomes confiscatory. You spoil people, you rob people. And that's very important, that's very important. But basically, this is technical. People will not understand. Basically, what is at stake? What is at stake? What is at stake is that you mix the savings of the French, the capital of the French, they go away from France. Well, and this is a big mistake.
That's an issue people can certainly
Yes,
understand, with the departure of the well-known actor Gérard Depardieu, who's going to Belgium.
It's not only a question. I'm not going to support Mr. Depardieu as a French...
No, but that's part of the debate now.
This is part of the debate, yes. But the main point, and I'm glad I've heard, I'm in the opposition, but I've heard that the government says they want to see how can they improve the investment in France. This is the main issue. We need an industrial policy. We already talk about that between us. We need an industrial policy. We need the capital, the saving of the French to invest in France, not to flee away from France. And this is why I say that the taxation that you have been pursuing, that you have been implementing, is a mistake in this area of investment in France.
Gérard Depardieu, for our viewers, decided a couple of weeks ago that he would go to Belgium, just 1 kilometer from the French border, because he was fed up with this taxation. There was a rough exchange between him, the Prime Minister, Jean-Marc Ayrault called him shabby, and this created a whole fuss here in France. And the question is basically on taxation, how much you want to go after the rich. This is what the opposition is claiming. Well, was this a useful criticism of Gérard Depardieu by the government? Could you maybe have done
from the government?
Yes.
Well, obviously,
consider him shabby. That's a shame that he's leaving France. And
I don't know about the words, but on the principle, it is always something regretful that people who have profited of the country, which have built their fortune here, when it comes to money, move away to Belgium, to Switzerland, to Monaco. And I mean, people talk of Depardieu, but there are hundreds of cases. We all know that the tennis people, the football people, big business people for a long time have gone abroad. But what is true also...
Not more now.
What is true is that from the figures we have, the figures are pretty stable. You have about 1,200 people who move every year for fiscal reasons. There are many other reasons.
Obviously.
Most of the people go for professional reasons. But those who move for fiscal reasons, for tax reasons, the level says around 1,000. And there's not been any great move forward. And I answer to Mr. Mia on investment. We share this view, and I think we all
Yes,
try
but hurry up.
to. But what is true is that when you had the opposite fiscal policy, it didn't have any impact on the investment. So we are trying another one.
We didn't. No. To put things clearly, I always criticize also my friends when I don't agree with them. It is true that since 1995 until 2010, France has been the leader in the world to export capital. Leader in front, ahead of United States. And this is a big mistake. I always said we need the saving of the French to invest in here. And what you have done, I don't say that we've been perfect, otherwise we won't have lost the election. We just did not do worse than you. And I think that those measures, like the 75%, like the taxations on revenue of dividends and so on, because today the Council said very clearly that for the first time, the taxation on capital is higher than on activities. I agree that there should be tax, but you cannot go beyond a certain point. And this point, you have gone beyond it.
The rules fixed by the Council is that your taxes should be paid, you should be able to pay your taxes, total taxes, from your income. And you should not have to
Otherwise, it's
sell
confiscated.
part of your capital to pay them.
That's it.
I think that is the rule. And of course, we will follow the rule. The
I'm glad to
Council-
hear it.
Let's talk about the New Year wishes of François Hollande. He made one promise about unemployment, which has been creeping up every month for the past 19 months, I believe. Let's take a listen to the president on the 31st of December.
This year, all of our attention will be directed towards one thing, lowering the unemployment rate. We need to get there. There'll be 150,000 new jobs for the most marginalized young people. Special contracts allowing the hopes of youth to be put together with more senior experience will begin as of tomorrow.
So, François Hollande betting that in a year's time, the unemployment will finally decrease, which means there'll be more unemployment during the whole of 2013. Is he taking a risk or he doesn't have a choice?
Both, because obviously the tendencies for the economy do not allow for a higher expansion. I mean, the budget is based on 0.8%, and
It's
many
too optimistic.
People criticize this. The IMF has said it should be 0.4. Others have said it should be around 0. For the time being, we don't really know, but it won't be very high. And the best way to create jobs, of course, is to have economic growth. So with this given that we will have a very slow growth, even lesser, I think Hollande speaks truly when he says that there will be an increase in unemployment and that his aim is that the situation in 1 year will allow the unemployment to start decreasing. That's what it means. But it's very cautious, huh?
No, I can't agree with this wishful thinking, because in fact, I think he's taking a major risk. Because the policy which is led today, which is similar to the entire Eurozone, because it's not only France, which is reducing taxation and so on. So I think that, in fact, this anti-policy is wrong. we need to change of policy, macroeconomic policy at the Europe, at the level of Europe, and also at the national level. This policy, in my view, is leading us right into the wall because this is recession. We need to have a change in the central bank policy that should be, this how the Americans do, or the Bank of England, quantitative easing toward investment to the states. We need to invest. We need, of course, to reduce our expenses, but we should be very careful by taxation because this is reducing, consumption and also investment.
So, in a word, because we
in a word, it's very clear. I think we are facing tough time ahead.
And unemployment will
unemployment
not decrease.
will not be reduced, and I hope I am wrong. I do hope for my country I'm wrong, but I think this is a reality.
Just in a word, François Hollande has decided that the French will accept swallowing a bitter pill for a whole year before eventually seeing the skies clear. I mean, is this?
I think
the plan?
This is what we feel, that the country understands that there is.
The French are angry and unhappy with the government. So
I don't think they are angry. They have the feeling.
They are disappointed.
They're surely disappointed. The times are tough. They are ready to take their share if they feel that it is evenly shared. I think that's the main comeback that we have from our constituencies.
And more explanation, maybe.
Also surely needed. More explanation and surely
yes, but
more drive.
If the unemployment is increasing by 50,000 every month, I think we will have turmoils everywhere in France and in Europe.
Okay. On this somber prediction from Jacques Miat, we'll have to see how the situation evolves on the unemployment front and here in French politics. Thank you for watching this edition. See you next week.